Welcome back to the Whole Lawyer Podcast. It's your boy Akeem Earl, and I'm here with my co-host Tone Earl, and this is the Whole Lawyer, back with episode 35, I believe. Pretty sure it's 35, but this is where we have real lawyers, real conversations, and we have a dope conversation for you guys today. But before we get into that, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on all platforms. It helps us grow the channel and to give you guys amazing content. Now, what is our conversation for today, Mr. Earl?
Today, Mr. Earl, we are talking about squatters' rights or lack thereof.
Squatted, like you squat on the potty, or
No. We're talking about squatters who come into a home or who were invited initially to a home and stay beyond their welcome.
Right.
We have a story out from Maryland.
Shout out to the DMV.
Shout out to the DMV, but y'all just doing people dirty right now.
Too much.
Tameika Good. She squatted. She moved into a $2.3 million home.
Bro, free tea good, man.
Bro.
Free tea good, B.
She was outed by the neighbors, not even the owners.
Bro.
The owners of the home is a bank that I don't think has yet been identified
Has
yet.
not been identified, nope.
Yep. And the neighbors have basically filed a criminal suit for trespass. Basically, the state's handling it. And so she was sentenced to 9 months.
Yeah.
9 months.
No. Sorry. She was in the house for 9 months. She was sentenced to 90 days.
90 days. She was sentenced to jail for 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
And she only served, I believe, 5 of those because she was...
It was 11.
Or 11.
Yeah.
A short amount of those because she was awarded her appeal bond. So she is appealing. But that is what we're talking about today because her attorney or her representation went on the record kind of stating how she got into this position. And he said, well, she exercised her squatter's rights. And there's no such thing as squatter's rights.
No such thing.
There's no such thing.
And when I first saw this story, the first thing that came to my head was adverse possession.
Yeah.
Adverse possession.
Yeah.
And
what is adverse possession, baby?
Adverse possession.
Oh, Lord. Y'all, you gotta Google adverse possession. Ain't that crazy?
I gotta Google it. Adverse possession is a common law made back in the day where basically it allows a citizen to take over another person's land if they meet certain requirements. So a person legally owns this land. Somebody else who doesn't own it can come and take over that property. Now, the requirements are you have to be there for 20 years.
That's one of the requirements.
One of the requirements is that you be there for 20 years. And it's still in law till this day. It hasn't been overturned, hasn't been denied. So along with it being 20 years, you have to have actual possession, or we're going to go through each of these. Actual possession, open and notorious, exclusive, hostile, continuous, that's the 20 years.
I wish you would have said Kohei.
Kohei, yeah. Okay. And at the end of, if you meet all those requirements, then you get to claim quiet title or get to file quiet title. You basically go to the court and say, listen, I want this property now. We learned this in law school. And this was one of the most like polarizing topics or one of the most polarizing topics to learn in law school. Cause at least I was sitting there like going like, this can't be real. What do you mean somebody could just like take somebody's property just because? They're like, no, this is what adverse possession. We had to learn it as part of real property. It was something that we had to learn.
Yeah.
We had to write in essays, multiple choice. So it wasn't no frivolous thing. Like it was something we had to know. Fast forward to 2026, the homie T Good was like, listen, I'm an adverse possess this property. Don't break. Here's my stance out the gate before we get any distant. Do not break the law. Do not trespass. Do not burglarize. But if you try to adverse possess, get to the money, man. People need homes out here, man.
Yes, but that's not what adverse possession is for. I think we need to be very clear. This girl trespassed and burglarized a home.
And that is why this topic was so interesting. Because we asked, so you're telling me somebody would have to break into somebody's home and trespass in order to start the adverse possession process? Yes. Now, that is the extreme example.
Right.
But in reality, if somebody takes over somebody's property for 20 years, is open and notorious, is exclusive, has actual possession, and files a quiet title, that will be their home. That is lawful in the United States.
It's a property doctrine, and it typically comes up if you're in law school or you're studying for the bar. You would know the type of hypotheticals that come up with this type of doctrine is, let's say, you're building a fence in your yard, and you never properly, identified where the land is divided. So you actually built your fence on somebody else's property. 20 years passed, and now that person has finally decided to get the line determined, and you can now argue, nope, that's my land because I've been out there, I've followed the Kohei elements, and now I can quiet title. Or another instance is some conveyed in a will property that they thought they owned, and so you thought you owned it, and you're living in this property, and most of the time these hypos include like farmland that like is not in a cul-de-sac. It's
but
like
this is where case law will be helpful. No statute. First of all, this is not even like in a statute. A squatter's rights is not even a statute.
Right.
Adverse possession is still common law, but there's nothing that expounds. At least we didn't do the research to expound on what defines another person's land. They didn't say another person's sliver of land.
Well,
or their backyard. They're saying a person's land.
It's another person's property.
Property land, yeah.
So if that person owns it, if that person can prove they own it, whether by deed or some other instrument, then that's that person's property.
Right. So I'm saying, yeah, the most common examples or how it's commonly used is if is a property line issue.
Right.
What I'm saying is the way the law is written, it allows for somebody to take over somebody's property, land for 20 years,
only if that person
and claim title of and I don't think we should use the word property, because property could be your car. You can't do that with somebody's car. It's specifically land.
It is land. Okay.
So if you hold this land and I claim title over this for 20 years, open and notorious, it's mine. Run me my land.
But again, the ability, it has to be continuous. It has to be exclusive. Somebody who actually wants their house, you're not going to be able to get adverse possession.
And here, this is how we get to Tameika good. And this is why the story is so good. You see what I did there? The bank owns this house. It's not like Auntie Gemini and Uncle Robbie has this house. They went on vacation for the summer. Tameika Good said, yo, they out for the summer. I'm about to slide in. And then she was there for 3 months. And then Auntie Gemini and Uncle Robbie comes back and is like, yo, what are you doing? It's our house. That's not what happened. The bank has a house just sitting there. Her lawyer snitched and gave up all the game and said she did her research and saw that the property was empty. It is owned by the bank. The property is empty. We're in 2026. We can't afford eggs. Gas prices is up and down. We got a lot of stuff going on. People need a house. So you got a bank sitting there.
$2.3 million house?
Listen.
Because there's tons of vacant properties involved.
You got to have standards for yourself. You got to aim high. Aim high, Willis. Aim high. You got to aim high. She's a scammer. She is. So that's why I want to make sure there's two different things here. She is a scammer, and she also helps other people find vacant homes to squat in and different things. That's doing a bit much. I do feel on a base level, in a world where people need homes, in a world where people told millennials to get a college degree, take out all these loans, go into debt, still can't pay it off with interest, and you got people fighting you to get your loan forgiveness debt. You can't afford a house. In 2026, if the bank has a house just sitting there not doing nothing, get to your money, sis. I'm sorry. Get to your money.
No, I don't agree. And I think this is the reason why the neighbors and the community told on her. Because if you could do it for a house owned by a bank, what's stopping you doing it from a house owned by snowbirds?
So you travel for 6 months out of the year. So say she's not just hopping around doing this. Say she legitimately needs a home. She can't afford her credit score is shot. She comes across adverse possession. She comes across, and they talked about it in the news report. Squatting has been an issue all over the country, and that's separate because the squatting they're talking about is like a tenant staying over, holdovers, right, and stuff like that. This is not that. Say this is her only time doing it. She really needs a home, can't afford one. She finds out that this bank has been having this home. Nobody's using it. Nobody's benefiting off of it. These rich people are just having property sitting there. And she goes in and starts her adverse possession process. What is wrong with that?
Is she paying property taxes? Is she paying HOA fees? Is she paying light?
Is that part of the requirements?
It's not part of the requirements in order for adverse possession, but in a way it is, because if you want to keep the house from being taken by the state, you would have to keep it open. And I mean,
I would say, sure, if you feel like you want to pay the HOAs, do all the things, sure. But under the law, all I have to do is actually possess the land. Let's go through this. Let's go through the elements.
That's the thing. All I have to do.
I'm not making this up. But I'm not making this up.
But the moment somebody comes and says, "True, I want my house back," and if you haven't met that 20 year, you don't have a claim.
And that's where Tameika Good went bad. However, her neighbor found out is this young 19-year-old boy. However he found out, she was being too loud. She was being too out there. She didn't play it the right way. Because somebody was like, she should have had one light on. Like, she should have been incognito. You know what I mean?
And my thing is, how did the neighbors know she didn't purchase the house?
That's right. And that's what bothers me. Because I also feel like them calling whoever is based in racism. This 19-year-old boy filed the claims himself. He filed for trespassing. That has nothing to do with him. Again, we don't know the facts, but when they interviewed him, they've interviewed this kid multiple times. Till now, he has not said how exactly they put him in fear of his life, how exactly they were being a danger to the community. Because if it was the case that they were loud, boisterous, they got trash on the floor, they got a whole bunch of people on the block. If that was the case, I would have said that. They're like, yo, we don't know where these people came from. They moved in. They was loud. They were doing all these different things, and we don't know where they came from. I felt like, what's going on? And I found out they were squatting. Now I'm like, this can't go on. Anybody can't just move into the building, trespass, and allow to go on any further. But that's not what happened. At least he didn't say that.
I don't think they said fear for their lives. I think they were more so scared more people would come into the neighborhood and think it's okay to just move into a vacant home.
How many $2.3 million homes are just sitting around, though?
I mean, if a bank could own one, a bank could own five.
That's true. In the same neighborhood, though? I mean, I don't know.
Isn't that how it works? You buy let's go through. You build the houses and you sell them one by one. And I mean, I think that's possible, but I feel like I hear what you're saying, but the law and even the common law is not saying go burglarize a house for keeps. It's not.
How do I start my adverse possession process in the United States of America?
It's not meant with criminal intent. It's not meant for that. It's meant for those accidental moments where you end up on somebody else's land and you've been there so long that it might as well be yours.
But her argument was that there was no signage on it. It was no vacant property, nothing like that.
What the prosecutor say? It wasn't hers. So just because my name not on my car, it don't belong to me.
But it's not about car. Adverse possession is not about property. It's about land.
That philosophy. Oh well, there was no sign. That doesn't mean you can take a house.
But you look at the spirit of the law. This was written back in the how many hundreds?
The cases all are not somebody just saw the house was vacant and decided to live here. The cases are people who thought they had ownership to this house. Turned out they really didn't, but they hit the statutory requirement time period and were able to quiet title.
But it's nothing about the requirements say that you have to first check if that property belongs to somebody else. It would have said that. It would have laid out that this land can't be occupied by any illegal means. Because even in the cases that you give where the property line, stuff like that, you're there illegally. Technically, you're there illegally.
In most
and trespassing is not an intent crime. It doesn't matter if you're on somebody's property.
You're right.
You don't have to have knowledge of it for it to be trespassing.
But in most adverse possession cases, the two parties believe they're the owner of the land. They believe they are the rightful owner of the land.
And the person who in this house, but in the spirit of the law, it was meant so that people aren't wasting. It's about trying to get to get rid of waste. If you have all this land, all this property, and you're not using it, you're not stewarding it, and somebody comes along and uses it well, and for a long period of time, for 20 years, it should be theirs. So in the spirit of the law, if I see this bank has this $2.3 million home and not doing nothing with it, just making money while people out here starving and don't got a place to sleep, I will make good use of this land. She's moving in the spirit of the law. Or a person, I don't know, you Tameika good because she's wilding. A person can use that land in good spirits.
I don't think the spirit of the law
what else is the American dream if not that?
I don't think the spirit of the law is, well, yeah, we want homes to be occupied, so go ahead and steal a vacant home. I don't think that's the spirit of the law.
Is it stealing though, or am I stewarding? Stealing or stewarding?
Stealing.
So is there nothing to say to banks who just gets to waste? They get to be rich. They get to make money off interest, off of people who can't afford homes, can't afford even the homes that some people even live in. You think they get to get rich, sit around, get fat and hungry, while people actually out here need homes, but you mad at that person for actually using a house property?
I'm the last person to side with the banks.
I mean, it sounds like you do.
I'm not siding with the banks. I'm siding with precedent. I'm siding with the fact that I can't agree that this is the right route. This is the right route to go about owning a home.
I'm not saying it's the idea. Like, I'm not gonna do a whole seminar to like, this is how you could get a free home. I wouldn't advise it.
That's what she's doing.
That's where it gets wrong.
That's why I think you have to be very clear that this is not what the spirit of the law allows. It does not allow.
So they need to get rid of the law. Then they need to overturn it. And it's not just me saying. They said it. They've been saying this. Squatting has been an issue all over the country because people are like, "Yo, if I stay here,
this is not a squatter rights issue,
right?
Right? Like you, this is not somebody who thought. I'll give you an example. I had somebody come to me looking for some help with a estate matter, and she was trying to figure out what to do because her client believed that she owned a property that her father's current widow, like her father died, so the wife is there, is living in, and she was like, she has to run title and all these other things, and she's trying to figure out what does she do. And I said, well, you have to figure out how long has the widow been in the house, because even if the first wife and dad are on the names of the deed, there could potentially be an adverse possession issue. In all those instances, each person believes they have ownership to the house. The widow is not in there because she's trying to steal property. She's in there because that's where her husband left her when he died. And she would have been living in that house. So it's a matter of determining, okay, who is the rightful owner? Not a matter of determining if somebody let a house go to waste for a long time. Even though that was kind of like the spirit of the law was yes, we want houses to be conveyed. We want houses to be lived in. We want property to be used. Yes, that element is there, but not by stealing land.
Who said?
Oh my goodness.
Why not? Oh my. And again, this is gonna sound bad. Do not steal. But if you're agreeing,
that's how America got the land it got now, I guess. So maybe it is in the spirit of the law.
That's what I'm saying. And they had this idea that, listen, land is the real currency. Even now, like, everybody's trying to get land. It's an amazing resource to have own land, own your own property. So they understood that because this is such a precious resource, we can't allow monopoly. We can't allow people to just have a bunch of it and not use it and not make good use of it. Why is that not applied to these banks? That's all I'm saying.
Who's to say the bank's not making good use of it? Just because somebody's not in it right now?
Yeah. And that's why I didn't
How long should a property be vacant before it's considered?
It was there for 9 months. Not 9 months. No, like for sale. No house tours. Nothing like that.
But I wouldn't consider 9 months a long time. Houses stay on the market for a very long time.
It wasn't even on the market.
But I'm just saying, I wouldn't consider 9 months of not doing anything a long time.
That's fine.
I mean, you haven't even hit 1 year of the 20-year requirement to be able to
until somebody snitched. Until homeboy snitched.
She was not gonna make it to the 20 years.
We don't know.
She wasn't.
We don't know.
The banks were probably actively trying to figure out the title issue that she became privy to, which is how she got it.
Yeah, and they shut all that down. They like put up borders on the doors now. They put up metal gates, and that's how I know they're not trying to sell it. Because who's gonna want to buy a house with a bunch of what are y'all doing with the house? Come true. What are they doing with the house, babe?
40% off. Somebody gonna buy that house.
No. If you put in metal plates and stuff, what are you doing with that house? You're not put on the market. What are you doing with that house?
Look,
we got people like Blackstone buying up all these single family homes and selling it back for how much bunch of money, and people are literally out here trying to buy a house.
But
all you're doing is creating an avenue for the rich to get richer.
But see, that's not even the argument, because if we were really talking about reform so that people could have houses, we would have been talking about that. But this girl found herself a $2.3
she didn't want to rate around for reform.
If she was sitting in one of them vacant homes down in Baltimore, it wouldn't have been a problem.
That's a problem. Exactly.
And that's my point.
Exactly.
Maybe she being greedy with her crime. Because if this really was about establishing squatters' rights,
they're doing that all over.
Way to stay under the radar.
They're doing that all over. They're not just doing it in rich neighborhoods. They're doing it in the hood. They're doing it everywhere.
Well, you got to start slow.
Tameika said, no, I'm getting mine.
And that's why she got out.
But she's out on appeal right now, but I think she got arrested again because she left.
She has a rap sheet.
She left, came back.
Rap sheet. She lives this life of crime, bro.
Yeah. And she also names herself the pro se litigation coach. And we also want to get into that. Should you represent yourself? That is what pro se means. Basically, I don't want a lawyer. I'm going to do this by my dolo. Do you believe people should go pro se off the dome? No caveats. Should you be pro se?
Yes.
Why?
Because not everybody can afford a lawyer. And so if you can educate yourself in a way to present your case to the judge and defend a case in front of a judge or a jury, then why not? Especially for cases that are low stakes. I think like maybe criminal lawyers should probably be represented. But for more lower stakes, yeah, I say why not? Why not? There's nothing that we do as attorneys that we know that took a long time to learn. Now, we just read case law. We read case law. We read briefs. We read motions. I mean, if you can read, you can practice law. I think there's a level of entertainment you give when you're trying to present a case in court. But I think if you can read, you can practice law. And you can read past the test.
How dare you? How dare you reduce our profession to just if you could read?
What more do you do?
Crazy. Are you crazy? I disagree.
What more do you do?
I disagree.
When you go to court, other than speaking and reading, what more do you do?
He who represents himself has a fool for a client.
But that's because they gatekeep legal
Ain't no gatekeep.
Education.
Ain't no gatekeep.
They do. You have to go.
There's a skill and an art to this.
No. You have to go through 4 years of undergrad and then another 3 years of law school. And then you have to pass a bar exam, which gets increasingly
right.
harder.
I'll work my butt off for my profession to mean something. And don't tell me if you can just read.
What did you learn, if not anything that wasn't public information?
Advocacy. I learned how to convince people.
You didn't know
of
how
my
to
story.
Advocate.
I learned how to become a storyteller. I learned how to convince 12 or one person that my story is true and that it aligns with the law.
You didn't learn that in law school. You didn't learn that in law school.
But through the profession, though. It don't have to just be law school.
You learned it in grade school. You learned it dealing with mentors far before you got to college.
It's a skill.
It's a skill, sure, but it's a skill.
So I don't think anybody could just come off.
It's a skill as much as bike riding. It's a skill.
So if you could read, you could come off the street and do a jury trial.
If you put time in to learn how to do a jury trial.
If you put time, Sarah Places works at the pharmacy.
Where do you get these names from?
Don't worry about where I get my names from. Sarah Places. I saw places.
Oh my God.
Sarah Places works at a pharmacy. Her homeboy, Powers, walks in and is like, yo, I just hit somebody a couple weeks ago. They passed. Now I'm facing a DUI, homicide jury trial. I don't want to pay for no lawyer. You could read. You real smart. I want you to come and do this jury trial. You're telling me Sarah could put in the time. I'm looking for 2 months. You telling me Sarah could put in 2 months and do that jury trial?
For those listening, I said maybe not criminal law.
Nah, man.
I said maybe more lower stakes matters.
Like what? Like what?
Like
with tax evasion,
torts, bankruptcy, family law.
You think Sarah could come off the street and do a fender bender jury trial?
Sure. Crazy. She put some time in. Sure.
That's crazy. Sure.
Especially in today's age. I mean, maybe not 15, 20, 30 years ago when we didn't have technology everywhere, but personal injury lawyers are going to be a lot less necessary when you can record. I mean, maybe for medical malpractice and stuff like that, but when you can record a car accident and things like that, what do you really need to show the judge the video?
I agree in the sense that a lot that goes on in court is very procedural.
Yeah.
When to stand up, when to sit down, when to say your name, when to do this, when to present evidence. If you're doing the motions, who speaks first? Can you object? A lot of it is just remembering when to talk.
Yeah.
And how long to talk for. When in essence, all we're doing is like two parties bringing their story to court. Who do you believe? If it was more straightforward, I do believe anybody could put in the time.
Do you really think you had to go to law school to be in your position?
No.
All right. Prove my point.
But I do believe in repetition. I do believe.
Correct.
I do believe if I did mentorship or shadowing somebody for 5 years, learning the profession and I believe I could have just done that.
Correct. I'm not saying somebody could be told in a day.
But that still takes time.
Yeah, so I say put the time in.
Most pro se litigants don't have the time to put that type of time in.
Well, we're not asking. Most pro se litigants aren't learning every single law. They're not involved in every single, legal practice area. But if you're getting ready to go into a family law case and the issues are divorce, property distribution, and custody, and it's not like you own hundreds of thousands of dollars that are at stake, there's very little property, I definitely think that the court can create some type of module for that person to walk themselves through, figure out a pretrial statement, and present their case in court.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did at UDC from my clinic. Shout out to UDC Clinic. We basically created a program or created like spreadsheets of different websites for pro se divorcees or people who wants to go through the divorce process to understand what documents to file, what information do I put on here, when do I file it? Because you're right. I don't think somebody should spend all that money for a lawyer to do that when they don't have enough funds in the first place. When they could easily, if all they need is somebody to break down the process for them. And if we were able to put that in a very simplified version, it was helpful to that person. So on that end, I do agree with that spot.
Yeah.
If you are facing a drug possession charge,
I've already said
if you are in contractual dispute over adverse possession, if you feel like your property line has been impeached on for 5 years and the other person's like, no, this is my property. No, I do not think you should go pro se. The pro se litigants that I've encountered, all of them, and I've only probably seen about, I would say 4 or 5. Every single one of them was moving off of pride and ego. They was like, I'm right. No lawyer gonna tell me what I need to know. I'm smart enough to learn this in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna go in this court and bust all of y'all. That's exactly how all of them walked in that court.
That's how they work when they have
and attorneys. They failed. They all failed. They all looked a fool to the point where it was frustrating for us because the judge will give them more leeway, even though they're talking out of turn. They didn't admit the evidence properly. They're doing all these things that's not in order. And like, bro, I'll be like, Your Honor, he can't do that. That's not allowed in. And it's not just procedurally, but legally too. They're just doing all the wrong things.
And that's why.
So when I see that, I'm like, yo, you're not only hurting yourself, now you're getting me mad.
But that's
because the judge is giving you mad leeway.
In order for my idea to make sense, education reform has to happen.
Yeah.
I think we got to stop learning the quadratic equation if we have no real desire to be mathematicians. I think the Constitution should definitely be thoroughly reviewed. You should understand your due process rights. Yeah. I think, though you may never want to see yourself in a court, because the law can touch every facet of your life, you should learn the basic civil rules of procedure, the basic federal rules of evidence. I don't think it should take going to law school to learn these things that can inundate your life at any moment.
But this is also a service business, and people are paying us for our time.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Because I think people really need to know what they're paying for. And you're not paying for any real work that you couldn't get done to be done. Half the time in family law, family law lawyers get your retainer and they will hold up settlement discussions where the other side is like, hey, I'm just trying to settle. Especially if someone working in legal aid, we just trying to settle because ain't no point going to court. They don't got nothing. Yeah. They got nothing to argue with.
Wasting time.
Bro. And that lawyer will sit there and say, no, we'll go to trial. And then you get a trial date and it's the week before trial and it's the day of trial. And the lawyer is like, all right, well, let's settle.
Why were they doing that?
Because they had to run out the retainer.
My God.
You don't give money back in this field. If you received any portion of your retainer back from your lawyer, they did something wrong. Because their whole strategy is to keep that bad boy. That once the money goes in, it ain't going back.
What percentage do you think that goes on, or people who genuinely are using the retainer to push your case forward?
I think, like you said, this is a business at the end of the day. I don't know many lawyers who are able to keep their doors open without strategizing how do they get the most from their clients. That's why they get as many clients. That's why even in Suits and all these little Hollywood shows, it's all about bringing in the big bucks. Because when that person pays that retainer, you got associates who's putting in the hours. Regardless of the work needs to happen or not, they put in the hours. And now you have the use of AI in these law firms. And so I guarantee you, they're still billing as if they ain't using AI. It's a scam.
So you agree that Tameika Good should have took that house?
No, I do not. Don't put words in my mouth. No, I do not.
You're right, babe. It is all a scam. It's all a scam. Everybody getting theirs. And everything you said is legal. Nobody go to jail. Right. Legal thievery.
Which is why I would say I think the ideas that Tameika Good have are good, but the execution is just all off.
She should have kept one light on, man. The music was too loud. I think
if you are going to try and challenge the doctrine of adverse possession, I don't think it can be with a $2.3 million home.
Yeah.
I think it has to be in like a barnyard somewhere where you can get potentially some land, right?
In Bethesda. Listen, right, man, they'll play.
Right. I just don't think you can
do Bethesda, Maryland.
Exactly. That's all. And I like the idea of teaching people how to be pro se litigants, particularly when it's low stakes. If it's high stakes, I would say, yes, that might be when an attorney is helpful because they have probably specialized in that area. They do know what's not necessarily publicly available and easy to learn, right? But I think there are some areas of the law that are just far too easy to understand, particularly as it pertains to that situation. For people to just be, I'm just going to hire a lawyer. No, you shouldn't. And that's what I think access to justice is. It's making the law more palatable for people to be able to argue for themselves.
I agree. I think it's assessing the case by case. I feel like once you feel your pride, your ego bubbling up, if you in your head like, oh, I could do this, I'm gonna show them. If you said I'm gonna show them in your head, you should probably go get a lawyer. Because you move it off emotion,
or put in the work. Like I have gone up against some pro se who actually give me a run for my money. They have reviewed the law. They have reviewed the court rules. They've actually reviewed the documents that the court's giving them. Because when it comes to pro se litigants, the court does tend to not advise, but tell them where they can go to get information.
They be hand holding them.
They do be hand, and that's why
it's just not bad. I'm making you sound like an evil person. Not a bad thing because they are doing this without any remembrance or training on how to operate in the courtroom.
Exactly. And I think that's helpful. I think judges should be, and that's another reason why I say I appreciate the idea, the concept of a pro se litigant coach, because judges are going to give you a little bit more leeway if you can go up on your own. But again, that coaching should not only include understanding the law and the courtroom procedures, but how you present yourself in court. Because I think a lot of times, like you said, there's some pro se litigants who they know what they're talking about. They know this, but they don't know court decorum.
Yeah.
Those are things that you would learn in law school.
We're just mad extra anyway, man. We gotta get rid of all this fluff.
We do.
We gotta get rid of all this fluff, man. And even in mock trial, that was a lot of what the training was too. What was it? What's called like the things you do before? What's called
housekeeping matters.
Housekeeping matters. There's another name for it, but it's housekeeping matters. And all it is like, when should I talk? Well, when should I approach?
May I use the well of the court?
May I use the well of the court?
My
Can
lord?
can I stand
My
here?
liege?
Or do I have to stay behind the podium? All these things
May I approach?
All these things are just mental energy wasted before you even get to what we here to get to.
It's almost as if we're still like in a world where the royal court matters. Like we're still in England somewhere, and like that type of like the judges are some form of royalty.
We'll be wearing white wigs and
Bro.
big robes. Like, come on, man, let's get to it. Man. And that's what's so crazy. Even as a kid, when I was doing different internships, court was boring. Court was always boring. That's why. Shout out to people who enjoyed it or who are in law school who are enjoying it. And like there was like a reverence for the courtroom. There was an awe of it. You see the big podiums and the big judges chair. But actual hearings, unless it was like a OJ trial, a day-to-day hearing or even a day-to-day trial sometimes, it'd be boring. It'd be boring just sitting there because a lot of it is just talking and getting through things, and something like a good cross gotta wake you up.
I do feel like with this new generation of lawyers and like there's not as much mentorship as there was in the past. I do feel like there are a lot of lawyers who are leaving law school and just going to hang out their own shingle.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's about to get a little bit spicier in
so?
court just because there's just a way we do things. And I feel like we are changing what it means to be in court. And I feel like even with the judges, as the judges become more progressive, don't stand. Judges be like, don't stand.
Right.
Us too much. Like and so now we don't stand when we speak anymore.
I still gonna stand. No judge ever told me not to stand. Or most judges, at least the judges, they won't call you out if you don't stand.
Right. I always ask. I said, Your Honor, would you prefer I stand while I'm speaking? And they'll be like, it's up to you.
I had this one judge. So when you're in criminal court and you have a bunch of cases back to back, it's either I'm going to sit down and handle all these cases or I'm going to stand up and handle all these cases. Because each case or each hearing or each status conference is going to be like 5 minutes. If it's a big one, it's going to be 10 minutes. So if I got to stand every time to introduce every case, stand every time to address the court, stand every time to address Your Honor, I'm going to be playing musical chairs. And it's going to be annoying. I'm going to have a whole leg workout. So normally, it's either you stand the whole time or you sit the whole time. I had this one judge. I was sitting the whole time. The judge goes, I need you to stand when you're addressing the court. I said, bet. I'm not going to sit the whole time. I'm going to stand the whole time because I'm not going to be playing musical chairs. When I stood the whole time, I think I got away with one hearing. The next hearing, the judge goes, why are you standing the whole time? You know you have to stand the whole time. I'm like, yo, what you want me to do?
Why are you worried about where my feet are?
Bro, like what you want me to do? I'm not going to keep sitting down and standing up. Like, you do it too much. It's either you want me to sit down or you want me to stand up. I'm standing up. So the rest, all of our hears, I stood the whole time. Like, I'm not getting up and sitting back down. Like, just those little things like that. It's like, I'm wearing a suit. My tie to my neck, it be hot or it be dumb cold. Like, come on, son. You do it too much. You do it way too much. So, do not trespass, people. Do not trespass. You will go to jail.
You know what the real takeaway is go check your land line.
Yes.
Go figure out whose name is on the deed of the house you're living in. Go make sure your neighbor's fence haven't been encroaching upon your side for longer than 20 years. Because that's what adverse possession is for. Really.
Or you just missed your last meal. Oh my God. You got a daughter in preschool.
You just gotta give a sob story.
All you could afford is some little bubbles in the hair. She eating Chef Boyardee for lunch every day. She got to sleep on her jacket.
So many details.
In the web bedroom apartment.
So many details.
And you find out there's a house of Bethesda, 2.3, and it's owned by the bank, and nobody want to tell you what bank even owns it. and it's not for sale.
It doesn't matter who the owner is.
I ain't gonna say what to do, but it rhymes with bud.
Okay. Well, that is our episode.
Been the whole lawyer. Peace out, y'all.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on all of our handles, and we will see you next time for another episode of The Whole Lawyer with Akeem D. Earl and me.
Free T Good. Peace.